Hey folks, I'm that literary lady and this is your weekly literary tip. Today I want to talk to you about the new announcement from Facebook. Now while everyone was expecting an announcement of a new timeline feature or a new Facebook phone, we didn't get it. What we did get was graph search. What's graph search? Well, graph search is technically Facebook's new search engine. Now, I attended the press conference via Twitter today and found out a lot of information, useful information, a lot of disturbing information, and I won't take your time up explaining it. I'll give some links at the end of this particular tip so you can look it up and research it yourself, and some links to the conference and some of the things that were discussed at the press conference today. But Social Graph is, again, a search engine within Facebook. And it was interesting to know that Facebook is trying to go up against search engine giant Google. Well, we were all shocked. Well, we were kind of shocked, but kind of expected it, or we were suspecting it in the back of our minds, that Facebook was partnering with Bing. Boom! They are partnering with Bing for your search. Now, what does graph search mean for you as a Facebook user? Well, I'm going to say this. My opinion, and it's just that literary lady's opinion, Facebook's graph search, to me, borderlines cyber stalking, or borderline cyber stalking, or social droning. What's social droning? You know, the government has those drones that search or orbit around the air and spy on people, and to me that's kind of where Facebook is going. And again, it's my opinion, and I say that because let me tell you how it works. If you go into the graph search and you put a keyword or a key sentence like search for people who live in my area, all your friends will come up and live in that area. Or friends who like Chinese food. All the friends that will, that like Chinese food that are on your list will come up in this particular search. Now, the reason why I say it borderline stalking is if you are someone on Facebook and you are trying to hide from someone, and we do it all the time. There are people we don't want to associate with, and we all know, as much as we set our privacy setting on Facebook, so they're not always 100% foolproof. Well, from what I understand, graph search takes into account your friends and friends of your friends. So let's say you have a friend who has a friend that you don't want to be bothered with. So if that person puts in search Renee's friends that live near A&T University. That's a university here in North Carolina. That person's name will more than likely come up in that search, and that's why I call it borderline stalking. Another thing is, this all goes back to me saying in a previous tip, be careful what you put on Facebook, because now it is searchable. Now, we already knew that a lot of your things were discoverable in Google search, but now it makes it more prevalent in Facebook because they're primarily targeting Facebook users and Facebook accounts. So if you are working for an employer and you put on your Facebook page, even though you have your boss blocked, that your boss is a dirtbag, all your boss has to do, if they're friends with someone else that's on your friends list, is put in search for employees of AT&T who think their bosses are douchebags. And your tweet, or I'm sorry, your Facebook message is going to come up in their search. So to me, it's taking privacy. It's really diluting privacy. Facebook Zuckerberg said today that it's basically tightening up on privacy, and I really think this is actually a step in a different direction, in the opposite direction, because it does put a lot of things out there. And someone made an interesting comment today. Well, if you don't want people to know about it or want it to come up in search, don't put it on Facebook. And ultimately, that is really the bottom line. If you don't want anybody to find out anything about what you're doing on Facebook, don't put it on Facebook. Even if you said it, because Facebook now has a feature where you can keep people as your friends, but you can block them from seeing certain things on your timeline, which I think is so stupid, because if you want to block them from seeing what's on your timeline, why don't you just unfriend them? The answer to that is because you still want to see what they're doing. You just want them to see what you're doing, which is just crazy. But again, if you don't want it, even if it's for a certain person to see, a certain group, don't put it on Facebook, because more than likely it will show up in your the graph search. Now, one of the things that I do find that this has a positive impact is for those of us like me who have been on Facebook for years. Someone may come back to you, especially if you do business on Facebook, and come back to you and say, hey, you did a post back in June of 2009 that was interesting, and I can't find the article, I can't find the post. How do I get hold of it? Well, you ask the person, what was the post about? So they'll say it was about, let's say, broken toenails, for example. You can put post Yolanda Johnson-Bryant or that literary lady broken toenails, and you can easily find your post from 2009 without actually having to scroll through all your timeline to find that information. But again, I'm not going to get too in depth. I want you to read it for yourself. I'll also post links here to show you how to sign up for it, because it's not automatic right now. They're doing it on a trial basis, and we all know what trial basis means for Facebook. We're going to keep doing it. We're going to put it out there, and if it's broken, we'll fix it as we go along. Kind of like Microsoft. They'll put a product out there that's not completely finished and just let the consumers work out the bugs. And that's what Facebook is doing with graph search. So again, those were my opinions on it. I still have to learn more, because a lot of information was given out today in the press release. The press conference. But again, I'll post some links here. You can go on, be a judge for yourself. You can sign up for the free trial. They have a waiting list. They're going to roll it out slowly but surely. So right now, it's not available to everyone. And I don't believe, because I saw a comment today, that it's not available outside of the United States as of yet. And that may have changed since the press conference, which was at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time today. So again, graph search is a new feature from Facebook. Go to the links here, and I'll have the links also posted at the end of this particular tip, so you can go on and be the judge for yourself. There are several people that loved it. There were people who didn't love it. So you be the judge. Now, will we ever get that announcement for that new Facebook phone or timeline changes? Time will tell. I will say this, amidst Facebook's announcements today, their stocks did dip a little bit. So let's see what's going to happen. Well, I'm that literary lady, Yolanda Johnson-Bryant. This has been your literary tip. Have a great day, folks.